Hello there and welcome to another Base Shop training class. If you don't know who I am, then you haven't been watching enough classes. But I want to do two things today. The first thing is I want to make sure that everybody knows how to explain three major concepts that Primerica teaches. And so we're going to start with that. And then the second thing that I want to do is show you what you need to do in order to bring whatever is your goal for joining Primerica, whether it's just earning another $500 a month, or whether it's a potential career change, or maybe earning a systematic monthly income of $1,500 to $2,000, or if it's, maybe you want to break the bank, have your own business that's successful and leave a legacy to your grandchildren. So we're going to talk about all those possibilities. But first, how do you start explaining things? All three of these concepts are concepts that you are allowed to explain to somebody with no licenses at all. I've always said that the most important license that you can have in Primerica is a driver's license to take people to the office. But right now, we're not taking people to the office, which is why we're doing these videos. And when they are, polish off your driver's license and start using it, because we'll be having training like this here in the office. But for now, let me talk about these three things. And remember, you can say all three of these without any securities license, any insurance license, or anything. But beware. Because when you show people, for example, the rule of 72, you're going to show people the example of 12%. When you do that, do you think somebody is someday going to say, "Oh, John, where can I get 12%? If you say with a mutual fund, you're dead. Okay? Don't say those words. Say only what you're going to hear now in these examples. Fair enough? So let's start with the rule of 72. And I'm going to pretend that we're training John, and the couple that we're talking to are Paul and Emily. Okay? But you don't have to just use these concepts in an appointment. You can be sitting down at coffee with somebody at Starbucks and say, "Hey, could I show you a little example that I thought was really interesting?" Pull out a napkin and a pen and show them. Okay, but Paul and Emily, first thing I want to show you here is the rule of 72. The number 72 is a magic number with money. Because if you take the number 72, you divide it by the rate of return that you're earning. Notice I didn't say interest, but rate of return that you're earning. Then the answer comes out how many years it takes to double your money. So, for example, suppose that you're saving someplace where you get a 3% rate of return. 72 divided by 3 is 24. So let's double your money in 24 years. If you have $10,000 now, because Grandma just left to be with the Lord and she just left you $10,000, then 72 divided by 3 is 24. In 24 years, that money doubles once to $20,000. And then in another 24 years, so after a total of 48 years, it doubles again to $40,000. Isn't that interesting, Paul and Emily? Now, let's suppose that you could earn a 12% rate of return. I'm not telling you you can. But historically, people have been able to do that. So suppose you could earn a 12% rate of return. If you do, then 72 divided by 12 is 6. So your $10,000 doubles every 6 years. 20,000, 40,000, 80,000, 160,000 after those same 24 years. But it continues doubling. 320,000, 640,000, 1,280,000, and 2,560,000. Now, if you earn this money or in a bank or someplace, and you earn $40,000, you think your bank would know where they could go earn the 12%? Just turn over your Visa card, you know that they know how to earn 20%. But if they only earn 12%, then they get $2.5 million from your $10,000. When you show up 48 years later, Paul and Emily, and you say, hey, give me the 40,000, please, they'll say, no hay problema. Thank you for the $2.5 million we get to keep, because 2.5 million minus 40,000 is still 2.5 million. So they're going to keep all that money. Now, as I said before, if they say, well, where can I earn 12%? Say, you know, I could set you up with one of our security specialists, and she will answer that question for you. But for now, just wet their whistle with this example. Okay? The second example I want to show you is dollar cost averaging. This is most valuable for the people who are already securities licensed, but nothing that I say in the next few minutes do you need any licenses for. Okay? This is what they call dead air time. One to make it nice and smudgy, the other one to clean off the smudges. Okay. Dollar cost averaging. Now this is the way that I like to explain it. Other people do it a little differently, and they have their right to do it wrong, you know, but this is the way I like to do it. Paul and Emily, let's suppose that you wanted to buy stock. And you're gonna pay $100 per month. And we'll make the numbers simple. Stock A starts at $10 per share. So that first month, you're going to buy 10 shares. And say these things very slowly because Paul and Emily may not have been math majors. Just say them slowly so that they pick it up. $10 a share, that's 10 shares, correct? And Paul and Emily will say, yep, sounds good to me. Okay. Then, next month, it goes up to $12 a share. The following month, it goes up to $14 a share. Wouldn't everybody love to have this? Next month, it goes up to $16 a share, $18 a share, and finally, $20 a share. Okay? So next month, when that goes to $12 a share, you're gonna buy 8 shares plus some extra. Now, this is company A. Now, company B is a bit different. It also starts at $10 a share, but next month, it stays at $10 a share. Then the following month, it goes up to 12, but then it goes down to 5. So here's 10, here's 12, here's 5. The following month, it goes up to to $8 a share, and it finally settles at the end of the time at $15 a share. Now, Paul and Emily, would you rather invest in company A or in company B? Guess which one everybody selects. I say, well, I want the one that goes like this. I want company A. Say, well, very good. That's a good decision. Let's see how it went. Company A, as we mentioned, the first month you bought 10 shares. The second month you bought 8 shares and some change. Let's call it 9 shares. The following month you bought 7 shares and some change. And so let's call it 8 shares. The next month you bought 6 shares and a fraction. Let's call it 7 shares. The following month you bought a little over 5 shares. Let's call it 6 shares. And the last month you bought 5 shares. In company B, the first month you bought 10 shares. $100 a month, $10 a share, 10 shares. The second month it was the same, so you bought another 10 shares. The next month it went up to $12, that's 8 and some change. Let's just round it down to 8. You see how I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to company A, right? And that's going to work out well for us. When this goes down to 5, you bought 20 shares. When it goes up to 8, you bought 12 shares. And when it goes up to 15, you bought 6 shares. Let's total all this mess up. 10, 19, 27, 34, 40, 45 shares. They're worth $20 a share. So the $600 you spent ended up being $900. Congratulations, you did well. If you had invested in company B, 10, 20, 28, 48, 60, 66, times $15 a share is $990 a share, and you actually did better with this one. Now, why is this called dollar cost averaging? Because what you have done is you've taken advantage of the highs in the market. When the market goes up, well, praise God, you've got more amount in your account. When the market goes down, well, praise God, you got more shares. Paul and Emily, does that make sense? And by the way, I ask that question often in any appointment that I'm doing, because I want them to see it and digest it and say, yeah, that makes sense. I want them to know that they're getting a bit of an education from you. Okay? So it's called dollar cost averaging because when you take advantage of the fluctuating market, you are lowering the average dollar cost of your shares. These shares are actually cheaper than those on the average. And that's why you end up with an account that's worth more money. Does that make sense? Okay, the last thing in this regard that I want to go over is debt stacking. Now, I know you know what debt stacking is if you've been to any of our training classes, but the purpose of today is not for you to hear these concepts. The purpose of this is for you to know the words to explain these concepts to somebody else. I mean, if you've been here for more than 3 days, you know the rule of 72. But can you explain it to somebody? Do you know the words? This is a video that you can watch over and over and over. And once you get these words down, then you're setting yourself up for quite a career. Okay, debt stacking. fellow who used to do a radio program with a Primerica regional vice president, Roy Matlock, back in Tennessee, whose name is Dave Ramsey, actually teaches this exact concept. He teaches all of our concepts, and he does it by the name of debt snowballing. It's the same thing. With a snowball, if you start a snowball up at the top of the hill and it starts rolling down the hill, it gets fast, it builds up, it's bigger and bigger, and then eventually it's huge at the bottom of the hill. Well, that has to do with how you pay off debt. And so let's take a look. Let's suppose that you have a Visa card, another Visa card, and then you have a MasterCard, and you have a car payment, and you have your house payment, okay? And what you're paying on those is, on this Visa card, you're paying $20 a month. On this Visa card, you're paying $50 a month. On the MasterCard, you're also paying $50 a month. On your car payment, you're paying $600 a month. And on your house payment, you're paying $1,200 a month. Okay? Now, how much money is coming out of your pocket every month just making these minimum payments? $1,200, $1,800, $1,900, $1,920. Okay? So you're paying $1,920 per month. Now, debt stacking takes no new money out of your pocket. That's the beauty of this. If you're paying $1,920 a month, you're going to continue paying $1,920 a month. And the way this works is that as soon as this one is done, then you're going to take that same $20 and you're going to add it to this $50. No new money out of your pocket. It's just the $70 you were paying before, but now this one's gone, so you're putting it toward the second Visa card. Okay? So, and the rest of your payments stay the same. But when the second Visa card is gone, you free up $70. You put all 70 on this card now. So now you're putting $120 on this one, and that's going to really accelerate the payoff. So the other payments stay the same. You're still paying $1,920 a month. Okay? Accelerating this by so much, eventually this little sucker is going to be gone, and you can take the whole $120 and apply it to your car payment. And so now you're putting $720 on your car payment, and you're still paying your house. What's the total? Hasn't changed a penny. But that's really going to accelerate this. Remember that all the extra money that you put on each one of these things isn't going to interest. It's going to principal. It's lowering the amount of the loan. So when the car is paid off, you take the whole $720 and you apply it to the house payment. And now your house and all your credit cards are paid off in a fraction of the time. Now, since I just made up these numbers, I haven't computed the time, but I think I've mentioned to you before that I had a client years ago that we ran our financial needs analysis for that couple. Always, if you are at least insurance licensed, always use the financial needs analysis, okay? So we ran that on them. And what it does is it shows you your payoff date if you don't change anything. If you don't accelerate, if you don't snowball, if you don't stack the debt. And it showed this couple that they were going to be out of debt in 256 years. Well, we all had a nice little chuckle. And then at the end of that time, I said, you might want to move that along a little bit. And so we showed them the next page, which was debt stacking. Same money out of their pocket, $1,920 a month. But now they were going to be out of debt in 11 years, including their home. These people really love us. And the people that you talk to will really love you too. Now, maybe yours won't be quite as dramatic as that. It might not go from 256 years down to 11. But it might go from 42 years down to 27, and you will have saved them 15 years of a tremendous amount of interest. No matter what you do, it's going to save them some money. So use that financial needs analysis and use debt stacking to convince them, to twist their arm, to urge them to get themselves out of debt. I was just talking with Iwan, one of our securities champions, and he said that it's a behavioral issue. That's exactly what it is. We have to get people to change their behavior, and behavior doesn't change from here. Behavior changes from here. They've got a desire to be out of debt. They've got a desire to do things right. They have to desire to be good stewards of the money that God has given them. And so once you reach their heart by showing them things like this, you've got yourself a client. Okay? Now, more dead air time. The second part of today. How do you plan your Primerica career, given whatever reason you had for getting involved? Now, if you got involved with Primerica because you want to earn some money, and I know there are some people who get involved because they want to help other people, some people get involved because they want to get an education. Those are the 5 reasons over there that people get involved with our company. But if your reason for getting involved was that you don't like your current job, or maybe you love your current job, but you just need a little part-time money, $500 a month would change your life. Or maybe number 5, you want to go nuts. You want to have your own business. You want to catch the brass ring. Whichever of those it is, I'm going to show you now how to plan your Primerica career. Okay? Suppose first that your reason for getting involved is you want or need $500 extra per month. That's it. $500 would make my car payment. That would change my life. Okay? That's all you need. Now, Doug Hartman used to tell a story about a fellow who got involved with Primerica, and he was a tough convince. But they said, now, what would be your reason for getting involved? And he said, you know, I just want to buy one of those big screen TVs. And the person who was there said, well, we can do that. Let's get you licensed and get you trained, and you can buy yourself your big screen TV. He said, all right, I'll do it. He signed up, he got licensed, he got trained. That shows commitment, okay? And he started working, and he earned some money, and he was doing pretty well. He was on the leader sheets and all of that. And then all of a sudden, he disappeared. He wasn't at a meeting. He wasn't showing up for a couple of weeks. And so his trainer gave him a call. He said, Bill, where have you been? We haven't seen you in the last couple of minutes. He said, do you remember why I got involved with Primerica? He said, yeah, you wanted to buy a big screen TV. He said, that's right, and I bought one, and I'm going to sit home and watch it. Well, that was his purpose. Primerica had met his purpose. we want to meet yours, and your purpose may not be the same as mine. And so maybe your purpose is you just need to collect an extra $500 a month. What do you have to do? First thing you have to do is you have to concentrate on what is called the Primerica DNA molecule. The DNA molecule looks like this. That's you. Now that looks more and more like me the rounder I get, but this is you. And these people are new associates. They're your new associates. Those are 3 people on your team. Now, where are those people? I was going to say, where are those people going to come from? But then my mom would look down from heaven and say, you're not supposed to end a sentence with a preposition. From where would those new people come? And the answer is, you probably have 3 or 4 friends or family members who like you. If you were, now, can I be a little morbid for a minute? What if you were to die tomorrow? Now, don't worry, you get to come back in 5 minutes, but you're dead right now. Who would be your 6 pallbearers? Who would they be? Chances are, those are 6 people who liked you. Those are the people that you and or your trainer need to talk to. The conversations that should be had with these people shouldn't be just winging it. Don't wing it. Those conversations are in the module, in Doug Hartman's module. And we've got them printed. This is something that you can do in a highly sophisticated, well thought out way. Use the words that other people have successfully used, and don't go out there and try to fish just randomly. Okay? So these are people that your trainer or yourself talk to, and eventually they end up signing the IBA. Now, how does that work? Number 1, invite 1 new person per week to watch the business briefing. Dave, we can't have a business briefing. The office ain't open right now. It is for you because we have this thing on YouTube. And if you're in my organization, which I'm hoping you are, you have, and in fact, several of the organizations here in the office have it, you have the URL, the address for the YouTube video that shows the business briefing. It's actually not bad. I like it. I'm the one that did it, but I'm not trying to be self-serving. It's worth it. If you have new people watch that business briefing, then you can follow this pattern all the way to RVP. Okay? So number 1, if all you want to do is earn $500 a month, you start by inviting 1 new person per week to watch a 38-minute video. That doesn't sound terribly painful, does it? That's all it takes. So, then you or your trainer call the invitee, the person you invited, immediately. You don't wait for the next day. You call them immediately and you ask this question. Does that sound like something you could sink your teeth into? You know why I'm writing out this exact phrase? because this one works. You know, you want to know what the kiss of death is? You invite somebody to watch that business briefing and say, well, Bill, what did you think? Wrong question, doesn't work. You've got a 50-50 chance or less of getting a positive response. But if you say, does this sound like something you could sink your teeth into? Pardon the fact that that ends with a preposition, but that question works because people will say, well, yeah, I suppose I could sink my teeth into that. I could give it a shot. And then you say, great, let's find out if you qualify to work with us. So you're taking away the cookie a little bit. Now, what do I mean by that? In Primerica, if you have already filled out an IBA, you are a possessor of the cookie. You have an opportunity. People who haven't filled out an IBA, they don't have the same opportunity that you have. You've got the cookie. And you can offer it to people, or you can cram it down their throat, or you can kind of withhold the cookie and make them want it a little bit more. Let's make sure that you qualify to come and work with us. And then you go through the IBA and you ask them those qualifying questions. Now, most people will qualify to come to work with us if A, they are at least 18 years of age, and B, if they have a clean criminal record. If those two things are true, I can almost guarantee, now I don't guarantee much of anything, but I can almost guarantee that they will come, they will be able to come and work with us, okay? So let's ask you some questions, make sure you qualify to come and work with us, and then you or your trainer, doesn't matter which one, do you have to have a life license or a securities license to fill out an IBA for somebody? No, you don't have to. All you have to do is start writing, and you can do it online. You don't even have to get together with the people because the IBA is online. Get with your trainer or get with myself or get with your RVP, whoever that is, and they'll show you how to do an IBA on the computer. You know, life has changed. I'm going to be a little, say something that's probably not going to be very popular, but I'm an equal opportunity offender, so that doesn't bother me. But the coronavirus has done wonders for our business. Because before, we always used to go to a client's house and do an appointment. We always went to go pick them up and come to a business briefing on Thursday night or Tuesday night, whichever it was, and then take them back home. And then, you know, probably it's too late to do the IBA, so you set up a time to do the IBA and all that kind of nonsense. And that's the way it was before COVID-19. But now, we don't go to clients' homes. We don't bring them to the office. So now you get together on Zoom, and if you don't have Zoom, please get it. We've talked about this several times now. Please get it and practice with it. Zoom.us on the internet. And then once you're in Zoom, then you can set up a meeting number. You can set up your own meeting. And then once you've set up your own meeting, then you've got an ID number for that meeting, and you contact your person and say, let's do your IBA now. You can be on the phone at the same time that you're on Zoom with them, but with Zoom, of course, you're able to get signatures and you're able to share your screen and look at the same things at the same time. Get it and practice with it, okay? Because you can transact business with it. You can do life sales with it if you're life licensed. You can do security sales with it if you're securities licensed. You can do anything with it. So practice with Zoom, but one way or another, after you've asked them that question, then you fill out the IBA. So you or your trainer fills out that new invitee's IBA. IBA stands for Independent Business Application. they're applying to come and work with us, okay? Now, I said you are your trainer. You know, one of the guys that became a regional manager in my organization, I've got to turn the light back on here. So you may think I'm waving at you, but the truth is I'm trying to turn the lights on. That's all right. One of the guys who used to be a regional manager with me, and then he had to stop because his health deteriorated seriously. But he said, you know, Dave, Primerica can make a bum out of you. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, you get a license, you go make a few $1,000s, then you get lazy because you don't have to do anything. And so if you don't have to do anything, you don't do anything. And it makes a bum out of you. Now, I didn't want to tell him this, and I love the guy, but it's not Primerica that makes a bum out of somebody. It's the somebody that makes a bum out of themselves. Because everything in life, except health problems, is a matter of choice. And sometimes health problems are a matter of choice. Art Williams used to say, folks, dadgummit, if you're willing to settle for financial problems, you're going to have financial problems. If you're willing to settle for marriage problems, you're going to have marriage problems. If you're willing to settle for kids that disobey, you're going to have kids that disobey. Right? Well, I swallowed that. I swallowed that over 30 years ago, and I used his principles to raise my children. And praise God, my marriage is still together because of the principles I learned from this company's CEO. Well, everything is a choice. Now, suppose your trainer doesn't choose to help you. You call your trainer, and your trainer doesn't answer the phone. You call their trainer even at funky hours. Now, I've always told people if you can't get your trainer during the daytime, call them at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're probably liable to be at home. If they're not, their party life is just like way too severe, you know. But you should be able to catch them at home at 2 o'clock in the morning. And if they say to you, Bill, I don't want you to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, then that's not your trainer. That's not the right trainer. You call somebody who's willing to be called at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm willing to be called at 2 o'clock in the morning. If you can't get your trainer to do something, get his or her trainer to do something. And if you can't go up the food chain like that, you come to the top of the food chain, you go to the RVP and say, help! And that way you'll find somebody who will train you, somebody who will help make the calls, somebody who will take you out in the field. Folks, everybody can find a trainer. And if your RVP won't do it, you go to somebody else's RVP. They're willing to make money. They're willing to make some money. So one way or another, get this thing done, because you know whose business this is? This is your business. And you have the right to pursue success here. And the only way you're going to pursue success is if you make the decision that no matter who helps you or doesn't help you, you're going to be successful. And you can do it. You can do that here. And you can always find help when you need it. Just go up the ladder until you find somebody who says, well, yeah, I'm willing to make some money. And then you latch onto that person. Okay? You or your trainer fills out their IBA. Now, after they get the IBA filled out, you've got to learn how to do two things at one time. If you can walk and chew gum simultaneously, you're going to be successful here, because you've got to be able to study and pass an exam. That means going to 32 hours of education, probably a couple of weekends in a row, and that'll be the end of it. And then study for an exam, pass the silly exam so you can get a license, because you can't make any money here without a license. And then the second thing is, you've got to be moving your team along. You've got to be inviting a new person every week. Notice I didn't say invite 5 new people a week. Most companies will say, oh, and you invite 10 new people every week, that's a numbers game, you're probably going to do okay. You know what? If you invite one person a week to watch that business briefing, you're going to start building a team. Especially if you only need $500 extra a month, okay? So, Then do the 32-hour education, pass the exam, and get your life license. Now that's not a license to be alive. Your life license is a license for selling life insurance or annuities. Okay, get that life license. It opens up a lot of doors for you. Okay, now that's while you're doing these things. That's why I said you have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time, because you're going to be doing this and you're going to be doing this. And then once you're trained, you go through Mr. Hartman's module. When I say the module, I always mean Doug Hartman's ticket to district manager. And it's precise. It shows you the 11 steps you need to do in order to become a district. Okay? Go through the module with your trainer. You don't have to do this by yourself. And like I said, if your trainer doesn't start immediately when you get involved, immediately, if they don't start with you that day, then go find yourself a trainer who will. Just go up the ladder till you find one. Okay? Go through the module with your trainer, and the final step is do 2 new first appointments per week. Now, I didn't say 3, I didn't say 19, I said 2. Now, what do I mean by a first appointment? If you're not familiar with us in my organization, especially, if you're in another RVP's organization, you do what they say, okay? But in my organization, you do not ever transact business on a first appointment. That first appointment, you're just there to earn their trust and to earn the right to do the second appointment. Because it's on the second appointment the business gets transacted. Does that make sense? Now, you do 2 new first appointments per week. You personally, you go out and you do what your trainer showed you how to do when you were a brand new associate. You know, I've been chewing ice for over 60 years. Of course, I'm only 40 years old, so you know that was hard on my grandmother and my mom. But I've been chewing ice for over 60 years. People say, "Don't you have bad teeth?" I say, "No, I've got great teeth because I've been exercising it with ice all these years." Anyway, now you've learned how to do this stuff, so you do what your trainer showed you how to do. You go do a first appointment, a presentation, an FNA, and then you say thank you very much, and you leave. Now, we're going to go over that in another training class when I talk about the precise way you do a first appointment, then later the precise way you do it a second appointment. But in that, you know, I've had so many people that I've trained that didn't do this the way that I trained them. I don't know why, but they didn't do it the way I trained them. I trained them with exactly what I'm going to tell you now, and that's not what they did. And they're all out of the business now. Because what did they do? They go talk to Paul and Emily, and they'd say, "Thank you for letting us sit down and train John in your presence." And then they'd get into the presentation. They'd do the presentation. They'd ask the questions for the financial needs analysis. And then they'd sit back in their chair and say, "So, how long your kids been playing soccer?" "My kids play soccer." "I wonder if they're on the same soccer team." "What church do you go to?" "Oh, you go to the Lutheran church." "Boy, I used to go to the Lutheran church." You don't do that. You say, "Thank you for letting us train John in your presence. Have a great night. We will see you next Thursday, or whatever time you schedule that appointment, the end of the first appointment, you schedule the second appointment, no exceptions. Okay, schedule that second, because that's the one you do business on. Okay, so you leave their house. Now suppose John says, I want to stick around with my buddy. Hopefully you already indoctrinated John. Said, John, you're probably going to want to stick around and say something to your buddy. If you do, I will hunt you down and shoot you. Okay? Do not stick around and say something to your buddy. Leave with me. Okay? Now, it's likely that John's going to leave with you anyway, because if you were the right kind of manager, you picked John up, you took him to the appointment, then you're going to take him home, and if you don't take him home, John's going to walk. So don't let the new person you're training sit there and gab with his buddy. He'll just say enough to talk them out of that second appointment. Don't let him do it. That second appointment is your little nugget of gold. So make sure you train your people the way I'm training you. You now know that principle. And if I take you out, which isn't likely because I don't do many appointments anymore, but if I take you out and you want to stick around and talk to your buddy, I'll hunt you down and shoot you. Okay? So don't do it. Don't do the things that I point out are the kiss of death in this business. Okay? So this is if you want to make $500 extra a month. You do these 6 things, you will make $500 or more per month at the end of 6. Okay? So let's press on. Maybe that's not your goal. You'd like to make $1,500 to $2,000 a month. Oh, I want to get rid of the DNA molecule. If your reason now is to earn $1,500 to $2,000 per month. Now, is this theory? No, I did this. Okay? So this is for real. I did this 34 years ago. Okay? So earn $1,500 to $2,000 a month. Number 1. Guess what number 1 is? You pay attention to that DNA molecule. Okay? And you invite 3 new people per week to watch the business briefing. Now, this is going to look strangely familiar to you because you're going to see it not only here, but you're going to see it if you want to break the bank and you want to become a big RVP and make a lot of money. It's the same. It starts off the same way. You invite people. The only difference is the RVP or the person who wants a career change out of this invites more people. Now, Dave, I invited all my people the first 3 weeks. I don't know anybody else. That's no problem. Because I'll bet you one of those people at least, maybe 2 of them, filled out an IBA. They want to be successful too, and they've got their 3 or 4 people to invite. Invite those people. Fine. See, you get to work through other people, and it's to their advantage that you do that because they don't know anything at the very beginning. They're like you were when when you got involved that first week. How much did you know about Primerica? Did you know how to explain dollar cost averaging? Probably not. So now you're going to work through other people and you're going to invite their people, and you probably have new friends. Now, I tried to think of a nice way to say this, and I couldn't think of a nice way to say this, so I'm going to say this my usual offensive way. If you're not making new friends, Primerica is probably not for you, because a person has to be personable. People have to like you. People have to trust you. And so you're probably making new friends all the time. If not, it's going to be tough to be successful here. Really, really tough. Okay, so you're meeting new people. You see somebody at the filling station and say, you know, you just seem to be a happy person. Are you always this happy? And if the person says, yeah, I am always this happy, say, you know what, please forgive me for asking you this, but I'm looking for someone who is a happy person who might be interested in making extra income. Is that you? And some will say no, and some will say yes. And if they say yes, what do? Always invite one of those people to watch the next business briefing, okay? Now, if you don't know where that business briefing is, it's on YouTube. You received a text that showed, now you received a lot of text showing our first, second, third attempts at it, but it's the last one that ends with one S. One S is the ending of the correct address for the business briefing. Don't go to any of the other ones. All right? So you invite a person who looks sharp, sounds sharp, seems positive. You invite them to watch that business briefing. Okay? Number 2. Ask the question. You know what question. Emily, or not Emily, because we were training Emily, but Hector, does this sound like something you could sink your teeth into? And Hector says, well, maybe. Great, why don't we ask you a few questions, make sure you qualify to come and work with us. Okay, ask the question. Get a yes answer. And do the IBA. Now, if you don't think you could do an IBA because you're too new, I've got 2 pieces of advice for you. First of all, immediately contact your trainer and tell them, I got somebody who just watched it, said yes, I need you to call them right now. And if your trainer can't do it, go up the ladder until you find somebody who can. Your RVP probably can. Okay, so get somebody to do that IBA, because they will be, the new invitee will be your person. They'll be on your team, okay? Now, you got a brand new person. See to it the new associate goes through, guess what? The module. Just like you did. Because that new person, if they want to make any money, even the $500 a month, they need to go through that module so that they can be a trainer and they can start making that money. Okay? So you see to it. Now, well, I can't force somebody else. I didn't say force anybody to do it. I said see to it that they go through the module. Now, what does that mean? Hello, Barbara. I just wanted to check to see, have you been through that module yet? Oh, really? Okay, I need to call the trainer. Stay by your phone. Wait for 5 minutes. You're going to get a phone call. We're going to start taking you through that because I know your goal was to make another $500 a month. We want to make sure you do that. Fair enough? And then you make sure somebody gives them a call within that 5 minutes. Okay? See to it, the new associate goes through Doug Hartman's module to be a successful district manager. Okay? And 4, you personally, because you've already got a license, you've already done what it took to make $500 a month, so you have a license, you're able to train people because you've been through the module, so you do 5 first appointments per week. Now, does 5 first appointments mean you're going to get 5 transactions? Probably not, especially if you're a new person. Now, if you're Glenn or Riley or myself or Alba or Nellie or any of the more Eric, the more professional people, been around for a long time, the percentages are probably pretty good. They may get 80, 90, 95% of their first appointments turn into second appointments that turn into transactions. Fine, good. But as a brand new person, and you need to be doing these things, don't say, well, I know Dave can close 92% of the appointments, so I'll let Dave do my appointments from now for the rest of my life. Then you're not going to make the $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I am. So for you to make the money, you've got to go out there and you've got to mess it up a little bit. You've got to get out of your comfort zone and you've got to make some mistakes. Art Williams used to say, before you can be great, you've got to be good. Before you can be good, you got to be bad. And before you can be bad, you got to do something. So go out there and start messing it up a little bit. You may not get your first one or two. I actually was fortunate. I got my first one. And maybe you will too. But keep doing it. Keep doing it until your goal is getting met. You're making that $1,500 to $2,000 a month, okay? So you do 5 first appointments per week. Out of those 5, you'll probably get 4 second appointments because now you're going to have something that belongs to them, namely the financial needs analysis. So that's your ticket back into the door the second time. And then out of those 4 people, maybe 2 of them will purchase. And if they do that, you're going to make about $700 a week. And if you make $700 a week, you're going to make $2,800 a month. That's more than your goal. So you go out and you do 5 first appointments per week in order to reach that goal. Now, guess how you become an RVP and your goal is you want to build a legacy. Okay, you want to be successful. You don't want to just be an RVP, you want to build a legacy. Okay? Then you need to develop 10 of these. And once you develop 10 of those, you've got a lot of people you can take out because once a person becomes this, some of those people, this guy will already be a district leader and have a lot of people in there. So if you have 10 of these, you're going to have about 60 people in your organization. You think you can find somebody to take out until your income from overrides, where you didn't do anything, but override your people who are out there training others, and all you're doing is doing business briefings. So you don't have to watch my business briefing for the rest of your life. Go become an RVP and do your own business briefing. Probably be better than mine. But until you're making enough money from your overrides over your people, and by enough money, I mean you've got to be able to pay the office expense because you're going to be getting an office, getting a secretary, paying the phone bill, all of those things. You're going to need to make over $6,000 a month if you get a relatively inexpensive office. So you go out there and make sure that your $6,000 a month is coming in, and you're going to be replacing yourself to your RVP with a few of those districts, okay, with 3 of them. So you're going to have 7 district leaders, and now you want to develop a legacy, then have 7 to 10 RVPs. What's an RVP? It's a person that found this DNA molecule and put it together 10 times. Only thing that's required is 6 times. I recommend 10. And 7 to 10 of those people, those RVPs, are key RVPs. They're actually productive RVPs, 7 to 10. Many organizations will say, well, you know, you've got to develop a couple hundred people. It's a numbers game, go get them. You've got to develop 7 to 10 RVPs, which means you need to put together an environment where RVP building never stops. And so you've got to have a good, friendly environment. What do I mean by a good, friendly environment? First of all, everybody in your organization has to be positive 100% of the time. Art Williams used to say, folks, nobody will follow a dull, disillusioned, frustrated, negative, dadgum crybaby. Well, that's true. People want to follow positive people. Make sure you and everybody in your organization treats people well and maintains a positive attitude. Number two, don't use any of the dirty words. What are the dirty words? Sale, recruit, and opportunity meeting. Dirty words. It's transaction, new associate, and business briefing. So if you use those old dirty words, change your language, okay? And thirdly, no matter what it takes, get it done. We'll talk to you next time.